Hello Simon.
Hello there.
Today we're going to look through the Prot tree, Prot Paladin tree, which I'm really interested in. It looks like a really nice, interesting tree, some good stuff in it. Paladins have changed a lot. I mean, not to mention that, you know, the whole holy power mechanic, but block itself has been changed, and it's now, rather than a specific amount, it's 30% of incoming damage when you block. That's how much it blocks. They've changed it so the Paladin mastery for this line is actually block chance. You can't get block chance with anything else. And you get some baseline talents with your prospect. You get Judgment of the Wise, which gives you your mana back. You get Vengeance, which boosts your attack power when you get hit. All tanks get this. So tanks are going to be hitting quite hard on bosses, you know. I mean, like, you can get a lot of attack power from this. I've had like 7 or 8k just from that Vengeance buff. And obviously, you know, the standard sort of talent that buffs your stamina, spell hit and stuff. So they've taken out much of the tanking stuff and put it straight away by pressing protection. You get a lot of tanking stuff. So kind of the rest of the tree is a bit more fun. I mean, you played a Prot Paladin last expansion.
Yeah, I started playing the Hunter more.
Up until about Ulduar, didn't you? And then you got sick of it.
There's a lot of pressure on you as a tank, an awful lot of pressure. And I couldn't hack it, Lewis. I couldn't hack it. Poor Honeydew, she's a delicate flower.
I mean, before we start, the way these new talent trees work is you get 41 points at level 85, which means you have to spend 31 before you can go into another tree. So basically, anything below, if you're going to be a Prot Paladin, anything below tier 2 of Ret or tier 2 of Holy is completely off limits. You can't go down that far. You just simply don't have enough points for tier 3.
Which is where, I mean, for the Paladin tree, you have stuff like, well, there's only Divine Favour in Holy, but in Prot there's Hammer of the Righteous, and in Ret there's Divine Storm. Those are the talents that you can only get if you're going balls deep in that tree.
So I mean, let's just get started going through the talents. We've got, at the top we've got Divinity, crystal healing done by you and on you, which is obviously something that's really nice to have as a tank. And then we've got either a damage talent or a talent which means your Word of Glory, which is the new instant heal, can heal you for free effectively. So you can cast 2 of them at once, or you can cast a Word of Glory and something else.
I think that the talents that boost Word of Glory are not really talents that a tank would be taking. They're more like what's something that Ret would go for to help leveling or soloing, or something that Holy takes, because it's really, really powerful for Holy, and it's only tier 1 of Prot. So I think it's more for the other specs than for the benefit of Prot.
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably end up putting them in Seals of the Pure here just to boost your own damage and boost your own threat. On the next line we've got something which every tank class has got, an attack speed debuff. For Death Knights you get it from Frost Fever. For Warriors you get it from Thunderclap, I think, melee and ranged attack speed debuff. I mean, that's a pretty standard thing that you have to have. In addition, it increases the duration of your Seal of Justice effect. So I mean, Justice effect is going to be the PvP seal, I think, because it slows people down to their max movement speed. Toughness, armor value, I mean, you're going to take that. And then again, we've got improved Hammer of Justice here, which you probably won't want that increased cooldown necessarily as a tank.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Judgments of the Just is a pretty big thing to take, but you know, it depends how many other people in the raid are going to have that talent as well. I remember when I was tanking that we had I think Druids had it as well as Warriors, so it was a little bit pointless for me to have that talent, so it was a waste of 2 talent points. That's the problem with things that buff or debuff. those abilities can be replicated by so many other classes now.
Mm.
And if you're spending talents on them, you kind of have to know who you're grouping with, who you're raiding with, to know, who's taking those abilities, who's talenting for them.
Next, I mean, Hallowed Ground increases damage and decreases mana cost of Consecration. You're going to need that because they did change Consecration for a little while on the beta. They took the cooldown away, so it was sort of spammable. But they've changed it back to pretty much how it was now. It's still got a long cooldown on it, and it lasts only 12 seconds. I mean, previously, didn't Paladins have Consecration down all the time?
Yeah, it was basically the first thing that you'd do. You'd run into a group of mobs, throw down Consecration and hit Hammer of the Righteous. And one of the things that made Paladins such great AoE tanks is that they would always have Consecration down, dealing loads of damage. But it seems that Blizzard didn't want that. So I mean, it's only up for 10 seconds every 30 seconds, untalented, unmessed around with. And also look at the cost. The cost of it, untalented, is nearly 13,000 mana. 13,000 mana. My God. I mean, that is ridiculous. So it's not something that you can just spam. I mean, if you were playing Ret, it's not an ability that you could like just smack down, because that's pretty much like half of your mana pool right there.
Okay, Sanctuary. This is the standard thing in the tank lines, which is actually the talent you have to take to not be crit by melee attacks. So this is replace defense. Defense is completely
defense.
gone from all
It's gone.
gear.
Gone forever. Disappeared.
And these talents are what you take instead. Hammer of the Righteous is your holy power generator. I mean, we've reached tier 3 now, and this is when you get your abilities which define your class, because no other classes can take these tier 3 abilities. So this is once you get to like tier 3, you kind of see these sudden good abilities. Hammer of the Righteous, you'll be pressing it on cooldown to generate your holy power. It's actually the only way, this ability, that prop paladins generate holy power at the moment. There are no other ways for prop paladins to get more than one charge of holy power every 4.5 seconds.
It's worth saying that it shares a cooldown with Crusader Strike that paladins now get as a base ability.
Yeah, baseline. You get that at level 1. Sorry, so if you're on a single target, would Crusader Strike do more damage? I mean, when you get with Hammer of the Righteous, you are talenting it to pieces.
Yeah, I mean, it's not worth using if you're
even on a single target.
No.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay. And the other one in that line is Wrath of the Lightbringer, which increases the damage of your Crusader Strike by 60% and your Judgement. So I mean, arguably, with that 60% buff, is it then worth using on single targets?
Yes. Oh dear. Well, Crusader Strike always gives you holy power.
But it does share the cooldown.
Yeah.
So.
You can always see. Why don't you attack me and see just the difference in damage between Crusader Strike and Hammer of the Righteous? It's a quick and easy way to find out.
So here's Hammer of the Righteous, right? 1200 plus a bit of holy damage, it seems, on there as well. So it's about 1200 damage. Now here's Crusader Strike, 1700. So it is more on a single target.
Is worth using then.
Next tier, Reckoning. You have a 20% chance after blocking for your next 4 white swings to generate an additional attack. So this is a threat talent.
It's always been a pretty cool ability, Reckoning. It's just something you don't have to worry about. It just happens.
Yeah,
with procs.
it's kind of quite fun.
You don't need to do anything, and it's just pure awesomeness.
Shield of the Righteous. Now this is your holy power spending ability. As prot, you can either spend your holy power that you're generating through spamming Hammer of the Righteous on Shield of the Righteous, which is purely a damage ability. It doesn't give you any kind of heals or health back. And so instead, if you prefer, you can actually just use Word of Glory instead to heal yourself. Right?
Yeah.
You obviously do have to keep pressing Shield of the Righteous or Word of Glory because of the next talent down, which is called Holy Shield. So using Shield of the Righteous will increase your block chance.
So it's...
you can actually use Inquisition as well, which is the ret thing, which increases your holy damage by 30% for, well, it'll be 12 seconds, won't it? Would you use that as a prop paladin?
For
I
a
guess
threat
if you were on a
increase.
fight where you only had to DPS.
Well, I can see if you're AoEing and you want to burn through your holy power, then I can see popping Inquisition, laying down your Consecration, and then Hammer of the Righteous is probably much more worthwhile than
yeah,
just
probably.
smacking one of the targets with Shield of the Righteous.
Okay. So obviously you have to use Shield of the Righteous or Inquisition, or actually you can use Word of Glory if you take this talent here, Guarded by the Light, which is really interesting and really cool. The way this works is it allows your Word of Glory to trigger this talent, which gives you your block chance. So you can use, so you get your 3 holy power from spamming Hammer of the Righteous every 4.5 seconds, and you can either use Shield of the Righteous, Inquisition, or Word of Glory. Word of Glory will heal yourself, and this talent will also generate a protective shield equal to the amount of overhealing you get from Word of Glory. Which is really, I think it's a really, really cool talent. You're not convinced, are you? But I think it's a really good idea. On a fight where you don't need that much threat, or you're well ahead on threat, you can just keep healing yourself. Every 3 Hammer of the Righteous, you can drop yourself a 15k heal that won't be wasted because it will be a shield. I think it's a great talent.
Yeah.
And this kind of makes the tree for me a little bit, because I'm used to playing a Death Knight and having rune tap to, you know, heal myself periodically. So I've got that button where I'm used to be able to heal myself.
You're stuck in that Death Knight mentality, Lewis.
I know. We missed a talent on the one above, which is the cool thing about this tree. With, well, the cool free proc thing. All trees have a cool free proc thing where Power Auras comes up and you have to press a button that lights up on your hotbar. In this case, it's your Avenger shield cooldown gets reset. There's a 20% chance when you use Hammer of the Righteous that your Avenger shield cooldown will be reset. Now that's a cool ability because Avenger shield hits fucking hard.
Yeah.
And if you're,
it's a great ability.
If you're doing 5-mans, you know, you've got the
Captain America.
It's just such a good shield. It's a good ability. I love it. I love Avenger shield. That's your paladin thing that you get as a holy paladin, prop paladin. It's kind of the basic talent, isn't it? Avenger shield.
Your specialization
Yeah.
you get given